Hello! I am doing thing. Yes, so I haven't really moved much farther than I was yesterday. But the thing is, it's got some important shit. And it's very different because it's the last chapter where it's just like nice, pastoral, setting up what the world is and how characters think and all that, you know. So I've just finished chapter 4 and got a tiny bit into chapter 5 and I was like, wait, I know what happens because I've read this before. I should probably stop for a second, collect my thoughts. Oh, I'm making lunch, which is why there'll be clatters and bangs and the sound of filling up a pan with water because I'm making some hard-boiled eggs. And you'd think that way of saying hard-boiled is a little bit racist, but in fact I'm doing that as a Gintama reference, so I don't know. Does that make it better? I'm not sure. What do I want? I'm making hard-boiled eggs. Oh, I should make one of my super sandwiches. Yeah, I've got Rocket. I've got thingy. What are you? Romaine lettuce. Yummy. I've got cheese and I've got mustard. And I've got pickles. Well, pickles. What Americans call a pickle, well, we would call a gherkin. I'll make one. Oh, they're quite small. You know what? I will make 4 hard-boiled eggs for the wife. And then, if she doesn't want them all, she'll give one of them to the baby. Since the baby's learning all about food at the moment. She's a big fan. And that's what we do. That's how we keep her quiet in the morning. But sadly, it doesn't really keep her very quiet enough. And I still have to pay attention to her while I'm only working. Oh no. Admission of guilt there. So anyway, Wheel of Time, Eye of the World, Chapter 4, The Gleeman. Now, in terms of what actually happens in this chapter, it's not a lot. It's a lot of talking. We established the Gleeman, Tom Marilyn, as I may have mentioned yesterday. You know, he's that Merlin, Gandalf, Taliesin sort of mould of a bard who knows lots of stuff and is your cheeky favourite uncle. You know, that sort of business. You know what I mean. Ooh, some toasty left. Okay, we're going to make that into toast so the boss lady can have toast with her thing. Let's just check that it's not gross toast. Gross toast, anything green, nothing green. I'll put that over there ready for when I'm sorting out the thing. Oh, hungry myself. Starving. Now, I've got a bread end there, and I've got another loaf. There we go. I have to keep separate loaves because if I accidentally get bread that's too thin, my wife won't eat it. She's like, I wanted bread, not crackers. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But I will get the 50 loaf because it is cheap and efficient. Right. That could be for a lady. Well, maybe that'll be for me and get the big one for the lady. Maybe get a big one for the lady. Right. Anyway, so Tom Marilyn, so yeah, he turns up and he's like, yes, and, you know, gives out massively about the town, how it's being treated. You know, he's come all the way here, and then everyone treats him like they don't want him there when they do want him there. And then he comes down, all he wants is just have a bit of drink, a bit of his pipe, and everyone's looking at him like he's just like killed their dog. And not the imagery he used, more poetic on his end. Almost like he's a professional poet or something. Ooh. Anyway, so yeah, so he does that and recounts how Nenethan came in and threatened to hit him, which she does. It's weird. I'm listening to also listening to Targaryen, as well as listening to the audiobook and reading my hard copy of the book for what I have found. And yeah, it's a bit weird because everyone says Nynaeve, and I'm like, oh no, feels weird to me. But that's. Oh, I know, Kat. I'll let you out in a minute. Anyway, so yeah, so there's that. And then, and you talk to Matt, Perrin, Rand, Eggy, who are all outside. And, and he gets them involved, chats a bit. And then he starts to talk about the tales he has yet to tell and what he's going to be entertaining them all with. Juggling and talking about these things. And this is actually one of the core thing I wanted to talk about today. I mean, in terms of actually what happens then people come out, clear everyone off. Tam goes home with Rand and reveals that actually he believes Rand about the Dark Rider, which is why it's really important. They mentioned that they're going to do patrols now because of the war in Gildan, just so they can be safe. Matt and Perrin are well, Matt in particular is very, very, very enthusiastic, which is another thing I want to touch on. So anyway, so that's what happens, and then they head home, and sets up for the next chapter where all the shit will kick off. But yeah. Okay, so that's that. Let's butter that bread for the boss lady. So yeah, that's that. That's what happens. But the important thing is Tom Merrilin and the stories he tells and the things he will tell people of, and how in this kind of rural town they are very down to earth and very serious minded, and they're like, no, that's all nonsense. It's very entertaining, but it's all nonsense. It's not real. None of that is real, good sir. They talk about that something unbelievable is like something from a gleeman's tale. And he lists things, and they're all real in one way or another. They're things which are directly of relevance to the story going on ahead. So, not going to mention, some things will be obvious why, but I made a list. So, if I could get my fucking dock up. But yeah. Oh, one moment. I just need to quickly pause. Sorry, guys. I just had a massive cough and I didn't really want to blow your ears out. But yeah. So, here we go. So yeah. So he mentions Trollocs, which will be important. Ogiers, very important. Ale, very important. The people who live in the wastes, who he mentions. Rand looks a bit like one of them. I wonder why. Why does Rand look nothing like his dad? So yeah. Yeah. Part of their thing, they go about all the things that they don't do. It's just like, oh well, we haven't gone to the Mountains of Mist. That's unlucky. It's like, oh mate, there's actually important shit up in those Mountains of Mist. Actually, your area of the world is much more important than you think it is. But yeah. Anyway, so there's that, and mentions Jane Fairstrider, who will be actually important. A lot of the classic heroes who are mentioned, in particular by Tom Merrilin, actually are important to later on in the stories. But yeah. And the Green Man. Green Man actually, turns up. And there's a weird, and there's another nod to the sort of sci-fi fantasy roots of this world. That's not where I expected you to be sitting, Noodle. I expected you to be on, like, the nearest blanket, not sitting on my hat. Okay. You're a good cat. Let's get my veggies. And we've got any pickled gherkins left. We do. Oh, I've got loads of pickled onions too. Oh, I might have them. Oh, delicious. I'm probably grossing a load of people out. Apologies. English food is weird, I guess. But I've got some romaine, I've got some rocket, I've got butter, I've got mustard. What kind of mustard do I have? I don't think it's normal English. I think it is... Oh, it's Dijon. Nice. Bit more subtle. Bit more relaxed than proper English blow your head off mustard. Oh, I love the one which is all seedy. Can't remember what that one's called. Anyway, so yeah, and that's all important. That all foreshadows to the plot. Like, these first 4 chapters are pretty much all foreshadowing things in the plot. Later on, they're talking about battles, and Matt's like, oh, I'm well interested in battles, me. But it's super important for later on. I'm doing weird poses, and you can't see me. Anyway, so yeah. But, also, back to Tom Maryland's list of tales and things that he can talk about. And Egwene, Eggy Weg, she gets in on this. You know, she mentions it. That, what's the word? So, like, she mentions stories as well about, like, different people who went and stood among the stars. And these are, in fact, one of the great things about Robert Jordan is our future is their present. Their future is our present. The wheel of time is a circle. We are here, they are there. Might not be opposite each other. I don't know where on the wheel we all link in, but we do all link in. And stories about us go down to them, and stories about them come down to us. It's really cool. And so, I'm like, oh, those names all seem a bit familiar. So I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to go into a Wheel of Time wiki. There are a few. This one is just called a Wheel of Time wiki, I believe. It's the fandom one. And they have a lovely page for real-world references in the Wheel of Time. And I got... I got 2 of these by myself, which is good, I think. So he mentions Elsbeth, the Queen of All. Oh, Queen of All. Yeah, Queen of All. And that's a reference to Queen Elizabeth II and the size of the Commonwealth. She's the Queen of a lot of places. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. Loads and loads. Don't have an empire, do have a Commonwealth. She's technically queen of a lot of... Well, she was technically queen of a lot of places. She's dead now, so she's not now. But you know what I mean. But yeah, there's that. There's Mosk the Giant with his lance of fire that could reach around the world. I got that one! Moscow! ICBMs. Like, lance of fire that could reach around the world. That's ICBM. That's mad. That's crazy. You know? And I say, like, real world shit. Jane the Giant Slayer, I thought that was going to be just a Wheel of Time thing. Like other people. But apparently it's a reference to Jack and the Beanstalk, which makes sense. Which is probably going to happen at some point closer to them than to us on the wheel. But yeah. Anla the Wise Counselor is so esoteric and like only Americans are going to get it. But Anne Landers, who I know merely as a name, I don't know anything about them. I don't think they're a real person. But that's cool, I guess. You know. I mean, like, he really is. He wasn't like making himself laugh a lot by himself, wasn't he? But yeah, Matarese the Vela. Mother of the Wondrous Ind. Brilliant. Mother Teresa. I got that one. India was kind of the hit for me there. Eggy makes a reference to some to astronauts, and I got that as like, so this is establishing our present is their past. We have been to space, and I mean, I guess it also like, I think the assumption is that Randland is Earth. I don't think this is a Dragon Riders of Pern situation where it's another planet. Although, I'm tempted to do this for Dragon Riders of Pern at some point. But we're going to get through Wheel of Time first, probably. And, yeah, no, I'm anyway, so yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. Before I got onto, like, actual story things where exciting stuff's going to happen. Because it's going to get exciting in a minute. You know? It's actually going to get really exciting in the next chapter. With, like... Because this book is the most Tolkien-y. You know, it becomes its own thing. And I feel like... Well, I feel like people like to compare it to The Song of Ice and Fire. Because... they're about the same period, you know, and they're quite serious and they're quite Dune inspired, and you know, like I feel like a lot of 80s and 90s fantasy is like a lot of it is either in the style of or is actually just the books CSR were doing for D&D stuff, you know? Like, I think about 80s and 90s fantasy, and I'm like, and people are like, well, you know, Dragonlance, and Dritz Do'Urden, and I'm like, it's the same thing. You know, it's all D&D stuff, and they're good, and like, I absolutely love the Ari Salvatore's first trilogy with them, other than the Crystal Shard, the Streams of Silver, and the third one. I like those. I actually, at some point, want to play, because they did that Diablo-like video game based on them, didn't they? Which I don't think people liked. I wonder what that's on. Could I get that super cheap? I'm limiting myself, if I'm getting the new games, pretty much limiting myself to either ludicrous sales or PlayStation 3 titles from CEX, because PS3 is super cheap right now. For some reason, the last, if you go 2 generations back, it's always super cheap. So, like, when I was first getting pre-owned stuff, Mega Drive games were super cheap. Cheap. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's that. I'm quite excited to start the next chapter. I don't know how well I'm going to follow it with my book, because I've got the rest of my work day ahead, so I'm going to be doing it with the audiobook. And I've worked out putting it in my podcast app so that I can have it, like, queued up with Severian podcast. Like I say, it's all Bill's fault. And, like so much shit I do on this feed, it's all influenced by Bill, who's a butt. Get some more of that lettuce. There's my yummy sandwiches made, and then we'll take the eggs off for the boss lady. And in fact, what I should also do first is slice me up some gherkins. Because on sandwiches, I think they're better sliced than whole, don't you? I think they quite work whole. Gherkins work very nicely in a sandwich. I've also got silver skin pickled onions, but they don't really work in sandwiches. Oh, I've got loads of them. They're delicious. They're one of those things, you just think about them and you can taste it, and your body's like, mate, why do you like this so much? Like, I'll 100% get it if it turns out the thing, I don't know, words, language. Anywho, I'll see you later. Bye.